Today, on the Tom Kearin Channel, only you are reality. Everything else is just a story. I am your host, Tom Kearin, and this is the Tom Kearin Channel in studios of Be Something Wonderful, where we help you level up and become the best version of yourself. Creators, good morning and welcome back to the Tom Kearin Channel. One of you reached out with a really heartfelt email telling me about your journey, what you called your manifesting journey, of all the books you read, all the seminars and courses that you attended, all the things that you've learned, the insights that you've gleaned, all the methods and procedures and processes and rituals that you've tried, and things that you're doing right now in your search of how to change your life, how to manifest what you desire. You talked about the Dr. Joe Dispenza seminars. You talked about another seminar that's well known. I'm not sure if it's the Gallagher Proctor Institute or whatever that is, another course. And they're all great. You talked about the Sedona method, subliminals, and you said you got a lot from all of those. And from all the courses and everything that you've read, from our videos and other channels. But yet, you said you feel this empty space that you still don't know how to change your life. Of all of those methods and all of those procedures and all of those rituals and all of those processes, all of those courses and meditations, you're still stuck in this idea that I still don't know how to change my life. I still don't know how to manifest the life of my dreams. And as you continue to tell the story of how things haven't changed, yeah, that you've had movement here and there. You've manifested some pretty cool things. And other things seem to be out of reach, but nothing has substantially changed your life. And you're wondering, Tom, can you just tell me how? That's really all I'm looking for. This is all I've ever been looking for. But I really want you to focus for a second here and really listen to what I'm saying. That in all of this, as I read this email, it was quite long, right? And it was definitely, I could feel the emotion, his emotion, this heartfelt, really reaching for this idea that I just want to know how to do it. But think about this. As he said that he's been in his desired outcome, he's been imagining it, he's been assuming his new life, he's been affirming it, he's been doing everything that everybody says, all the teachers and coaches, this is what he said. But his focus, his attention, hasn't been on being that new version of him, of living that new dream life. It's all has been on, how do I do it? What do I need to do to be the person that I desire to be? What do I need to do? What process or technique or book do I need to read to manifest the things that I want and desire? Wow. It's never, ever about how. It's always and only about who. And I've said many times, the who is you. You're it. You are that I am. How implies that you, being healed and whole and complete and fulfilled here and now, is conditional. That it's somehow conditioned on something out there, on some process or technique or method or idea to be that person you desire to be. But existence, consciousness, awareness, the love of God, this one ultimate reality is unconditional. God said, here is everything. I'm making you as all that is, as that awareness of being, to be aware of anything that you want and desire here and now, because you're made as everything. Remember, we've talked about that quote from A Course in Miracles, right? God's will or the will of God is that you have and are everything. And God guaranteed that his will be done by making you, creating you as everything, as all that is, as that awareness itself. But that question of how, that's the question that keeps you telling a story that I am not yet that which I desire to be. And I need to know how to get there. It's the question that keeps you stuck in the endless loop of seeking answers and looking for proof and evidence of the new you and the new reality out there in the ever-changing conditions and circumstances of people, events, and things, and thoughts, and feelings, and emotions, techniques, and courses, and process, and theories, and methods. It keeps you out there looking for that. When there's only one question that ever mattered. Who? Who are you? And there's only one answer. I am. That's it. That's all it's ever been. My voice is rising there as I say that. And you know, if you've been on the channel for a while, if you've been following me on this channel, our new channel, the Tom Kearin Channel, which was started in January of this year, and our other Be Something Wonderful channel, that I talk about the scene in this TV show, The Chosen, which is the story of the life of Jesus Christ, your I am awareness, right? The story of Jesus and his disciples. And of course, it's the story from Scripture that I mentioned, right? It's based on Scripture, but that story in Scripture of the healing of the paralyzed man at the pool of Bethesda. And I've talked about that one scene in particular. I've talked about The Chosen and Scripture in general in many different ways. But I've always returned to that story in Scripture, to that scene in that TV show, The Chosen, in the healing of the paralyzed man. Why? Why do I talk about it so much? Why do I always return to it? Because it's a masterclass in manifesting, healing anything. It's a masterclass. That one scene gives you everything you would ever need. There's no how, it's who. That's what that scene's about. Let's return to that for a moment, just to remind you. If you remember, of course there's Scripture, you can read it, but the way The Chosen, that TV show, brings it to life and expands on it a bit is very powerful. It's Jesus approaching the paralyzed man. It's you paralyzed by the conditions and circumstances of your life. Paralyzed by the question of how do I do it? How do I get there? How does my life change? I have no money in the bank. My love of my life left me, right? Or I got fired from my job. I have no job. Whatever it is, right? Whatever it is that you're facing, or I have this chronic health issue, or a terminal situation in health, or just poor health in general. How do I change it? How do I be that which I desire to be? It's always that question of how that keeps you in that loop. So Jesus approaching the paralyzed man in this one scene in The Chosen, the healing at the pool of Bethesda from John 5. Jesus as I am, as your higher self, as your awareness of being, approaches him and says, I have a question for you. I have a question for you. The question's always who? But he says, I have a question for you. The man says, for me, I don't have any answers, but I'm listening. Just like this email, I understand you said, I still don't have answers. Tom, just tell me how. I know, so many have told me how. From tapping to subliminals to the Sedona method, to the Dr. Joe Dispenza meditations, to the Gallagher Institute course. I've done all of that. And yeah, there's been some cool things that have happened and manifested, but I still haven't been able to, how do I change my life? And the man says, I don't have many answers. Right? We still don't have answers, but you're always listening. You're always looking for that next piece of information That next aha moment that will change everything. And Jesus asks him, your I am awareness, do you want to be healed? Now, it might seem an odd question to the man who's paralyzed. Of course I want to be healed. That's why I'm here, waiting for the waters to stir up. But no one's helping me. But remember, Jesus knows that he wants to be healed. He's pointing him back to the idea, then be that healed person. Focus on that. Don't focus on what you got to do or who's helping you or who's not helping you. Be that person that's already healed, whole, and complete, no matter what the conditions are. And the man says, well, who are you? Surprise! I'm like, what's going on here? Remember, this is a conversation between you and you. You and that greater you. The physically focused you and your higher self. It's both the same person. So you've never asked the question, who are you? Who am I? And I am answers, well, we'll get to that later. But the question remains. In other words, Jesus is asking again, do you want to be healed? Do you want to know who you really are? That's what he's really saying. Do you want to know who you really are? Because when you know, you're healed. Wow. In that knowing, you're healed, you're whole, you're complete, you're fulfilled. You manifest everything you want and desire in that knowing. And the man says, well, will you take me to the water? As he looks to the pool. And Jesus looks back and nods his head, no, I'm not taking you to the water. Right? The man's still telling a story about the water stirring up, looking at outside conditions to be proof or evidence that he's already that person he desires to be, that he's already healed. Looking at what he has to do to manifest what he wants and be the person he desires to be. Focused on that rather than focused on already being it. And when Jesus nods his head no, the man says, look, I'm having a really bad day. I am, Jesus says, I am. Well, you've been having a bad day for a long time. You've been having a bad day for a long time. That's what it feels like, that linear idea. That, yeah, when you're focused on not being that person you desire to be, it's a bad day for a long time, right? Pointing to the idea that there is no linear time. Then Jesus, again, so, what's it going to be? So. In other words, he's asking a third time, do you want to be healed? Do you want to know who you are? Do you want to get up and walk right now? And the man says, sir, I have no one to help me into the water when it's stirred up. Telling the story. Telling the story of the conditions and the circumstances. Focused on what he's got to do to get healed, to be whole. And that the conditions are not aligned with that. And when I do get close, the others step down in front of me. And he started crying at this point. And Jesus, your I am awareness, moves in closer to him and says to him, look at me. And the man's still looking at the pool, still looking at the conditions, still trying to figure out how to do it. What conditions need to change? What conditions need to be met so I can have what I want? But Jesus, your I am awareness, look at me. Look at me. He says it twice, right? That's not what I asked. I'm not asking you about who's helping you or who's not helping you or who's getting in your way. I'm asking about you. Wow. Mic drop. Jesus provides a mic drop there. I'm asking about you. Who are you? Because that's where reality is. You're the only reality. Everything else is just a story. You are reality. Everything else is just a made-up story. They don't matter. And the man says, I've tried, as he starts to break down and cry. Jesus, your I am awareness, for a long time, I know. For a long time. In other words, there is no time. It's just in that moment, it feels like it's always been like that. And he says, and you don't want false hope again. And that's what, when you're looking to others, techniques and processes and gurus and books and other seminars and courses to heal you, to make you whole, you get that false hope. And then you look out there and say, oh, nothing has changed. So you feel like it's false hope, but remember, it's always, you've been asking the wrong question. How's not the question, it's who. Jesus, your I am awareness understands it. He says, I understand. But here's the big one. But this pull, it does nothing for you. It means nothing. Wow. All of it. The whole story that this person told. It was a long email. But the answer is it means nothing. It does nothing. All of those courses and seminars and books and everything else that you read mean nothing and do nothing until you understand that you're the one and only reality. You're the one and only source that determines it all. Everything else is just a permission slip, as Bashar, the non-physical entity that's channeled by Daryl Anka, says. A permission slip for you to be that person now, for you to manifest everything you want here and now, for you to believe and assume it now. And so Jesus says, but this pull, it does nothing, it means nothing, and you know it. This is what Jesus says, you know it, but you're still here. Why? And do you see that the how question never answered the question? It never got you there. And the man says, I don't know. I don't know why I keep asking how. I don't know why I'm still here complaining about the conditions. I don't know who I really am. That's what he meant by that. I don't know. Tell me. I don't know. And Jesus is your I am awareness. You don't need this pull. You only need me. There it is. A masterclass in manifesting and creating anything. You never needed the pull. You never needed all those books or processes or techniques or anything else. You only needed your own recognition that from your own awareness of being, your own awareness of being that person that you desire to be is all you ever needed, all you ever need to manifest everything that you dream and desire of, and desire. So Jesus says, so asking it again, do you want to be healed? In other words, do you want to know who you really are? The man doesn't even need to answer here, right? Because the answer is already provided. The man in that moment knew, I am that I am. So Jesus says, let's go, get up, pick up your mat and walk. Wow. And he did. In that realization, everything changes. And even, remember at the end, Simon Peter says to the man, as he's getting up and walking, don't forget you're free to walk now, like he said, but don't forget your bed. And the man says, well, why does that matter? And Simon Peter says, because you're not coming back here. That life is over. Everything changes now. Wow. Don't forget to pick up your mat, your bed, because you're not coming back here. That life is over. Everything changes now. Simon Peter, at the end of that scene at The Chosen, this is really what I want to say to you. That's why it doesn't matter how many hows we give you, how many methods and techniques, and we talk about many of them on our channels. They're all simply permission slips for you to know yourself as the source and creator of all that is. That's all they ever are. You're it. You only need me, as Jesus said. You only need your awareness, your own awareness of being that which you desire to be. Wow, very powerful. I am your host, Tom Kearin, and this is the Tom Kearin Channel and studios at Be Something Wonderful, where we help you to level up and become the best version of yourself. Creators, thank you. Be sure to visit the Be Something Wonderful channel. We just released a big video there. And we have our next live event on December 7th at 12 noon time. Right here from our studios in Las Vegas. That's 12 noon time Pacific here in the West here in the United States. Be sure to tune in. This is where I'm going to answer your questions live as you ask them on the Be Something Wonderful membership channel. With great love, with great light and infinite gratitude, this is Tom Kearin here on the Tom Kearin Channel in the studios at Be Something Wonderful. Until next time, we'll see you soon.